The 97th annual general meeting of FICCI. My good friend and somebody who has steered FICCI very admirably for the last year, Dr. Anish Shah. Congratulations on a wonderful tenure, and I wish you well in the years ahead, and I have no doubt in my mind that you will continue to be engaged with the FICCI story for many, many decades more to come, and be a part of the story towards Viksit Bharat 2047, which is largely the focus of today's AGM. But wonderful work done, very proud of your achievements, both in the private sector and in this role as FICCI's president. And I have no doubt in my mind that Harsha Agrawal will surely carry forward that work equally well. Wish you all the very best, and may FICCI continue to advance towards its century at great pace, with great confidence, and certainly with significant outcomes, as was told by Anish when he talked about me. Anand, I hope you are learning the ropes and getting ready to take on the assignment the year after. Wish you all the very best, and I know that this job almost takes away 2 years of your life fully, both as the incoming and while you're the president. But I personally can tell you, though I never became any senior person in any of the chambers, I don't think Harshpati or Harshvardhanji or anybody ever felt me capable enough to be. But I can tell you it's an absolutely outstanding opportunity. One evolves in this job, one gets a lot of chances to understand the India story beyond the business that one does. So I'm sure Harsh and Anand, both young men, will surely get to understand the country better, and that will help you in your career, in your life, very significantly as you go forward. And I think this must be the first AGM I'm attending after you took over, Jyotiji. Wish you all the very best, and I hope under your leadership the organization continues to grow and serve the interests both of industry and be an interface between government and industry, both nationally and internationally, to take us to the goal of Viksit Bharat. Friends, I think while coming in here, I was trying to think what I should focus on today. On more than one occasion, I've talked about the India story, the India growth story, the India story of economic stability, our leadership across the world. We've just seen 3 countries confer their highest civilian awards to the Honorable Prime Minister in the space of 3 days or 4 days. And very clearly one can see that the stature of India across the world is significantly growing year upon year. We are being recognized as the growth engine of the world. The world looks upon India's leadership, Prime Minister Modi's leadership, to make the world a better place. The global south wants India to play an even more important role in our future, in the world's future. And all of this is on the back of only one word: trust. India today has earned the trust of the world. India today is looked upon as a trusted partner. India and Indian businesses today are increasingly becoming a part of global value chains, becoming partners to international conglomerates, Fortune 500 companies. Countries around the world are looking at greater engagement with India. And I would define all of this because of the trust that India has earned over the last several years. In fact, possibly in your business terminology, that would be the X factor. But all of that has come after 10 years. And of course, many other steps taken in the past also. I will not take away from our whole 78 year journey since independence. We are in our 78th year. But I think it's been a transformation which was beyond anybody's imagination, where a number of initiatives, like the beads in a necklace, contributed to taking India to its current state of affairs. And amongst the many measures, and I could list out such a long list of programs, whether it is Digital India, whether it's our effort to take electricity to every home through Saubhagya Yojana, whether it's our effort to make sure nobody ever sleeps hungry through the Pradhan Mantri Anna Yojana, whether it's our effort to provide health care through the Ayushman Bharat Yojana. There have been a significant number of programs and schemes where Honorable Prime Minister has made an effort to saturate, to reach the last man at the bottom of the pyramid, to meet the various needs of a good quality of life. And all of these, like the beads in a necklace, are very much interconnected. They all have a role to play. And I've deliberately not mentioned Swachh Bharat because that's what I wanted to focus on. Swachh Bharat was the first major initiative the Honorable Prime Minister announced in 2014 from the ramparts of the Red Fort on 15th August. If you look back, many people, and there were many naysayers, not necessarily in the opposition, which is still understandable. There were many naysayers, even otherwise, who felt that this is not something a Prime Minister should be focusing on. In his very first address to the nation after winning with an absolute majority for the first time after 30 years. But when one looks at the transformative impact Swachh Bharat mission has had on India's growth story, we will recognize a lot of the things that we have achieved could not have happened but for the first baby step of Swachh Bharat, which of course ultimately became a humongous movement across the length and breadth of the country. And think back, 2014, did we ever hesitate to just spit a chewing gum that we were having onto the footpath, or even roll down our car window and throw a scrap piece of paper or a crumpled piece of paper or a leftover part of the pizza, even from the car window? And I'm not necessarily alluding to a set of people sitting in this room, but if we looked at the then 1.2 billion population of India, nobody ever imagined that Swachhata also is something that involves all of us and that impacts all of us. We would go to Singapore, follow all the rules of Singapore, often comment on Singapore that it's a very fine country, alluding to the fines that one had to pay if you were messing up the streets of Singapore. But we never ever thought that it matters to us. But at the same time, in our own homes, in our own offices, in our own factories, we were very conscious that Swachhata is important to us. But we were not really concerned that where the environment is, where the rest of the nation is. Similarly, we would watch films, or in today's day and age, maybe OTT shows, though they were not that prevalent at that point of time. We would watch films, we would watch songs, which almost kind of glorified or certainly recognized that more than half the country, or homes in half the country, did not have a toilet at home. But nobody for the 67 years after independence ever thought it's a subject that needs to be addressed. It's a question of the dignity of our women folk. It's an empowerment tool for greater participation of our women in the economy. Sadly, nobody, it just didn't strike any of us that we could do something about it. Similarly, we had a problem of the girl child particularly dropping out of school at a very young age. Many of us knew or recognized that one of the causes was the lack of a separate toilet for our girl children and the associated problems that the girl child had when she was in school. So she would drop out maybe for a week or 10 days, not attend. Gradually it happened 2 or 3 times. The teacher or the school rules were being violated. She was scolded. Another month she didn't want to go to school. And gradually she was destined to lose out on education. And these are only a few of the impacts. If you look at our tourism story, and while I was giving out the awards, I was trying to note, and I don't know if you saw a pattern. All those states who are the largest winners of those awards are states which also attract the highest number of tourists. While the award was for industrial park cleanliness or associated, I must compliment you, by the way. What a fantastic process, Aarti. Aarti ji, you have gone through and FICCI has devised. It's an absolutely wonderful process. I wish you had shown the audience the presentation that I just read. It's an absolutely remarkable lesson for all of us to learn. How these cities, industrial townships have been recognized for being clean townships or clean industrial areas. But these would not be in isolation. It must be the mindset that has enabled these industrial townships, industrial cities or industrial areas to evolve that culture of cleanliness. So Vikram Udyogpuri in Madhya Pradesh could not have been a clean industrial township, but for the fact that Indore, which is in the neighborhood, and that whole region, Indore, Ujjain, that whole region, is conscious about cleanliness. And Indore probably ranks first for many years in a row as the cleanest city in the country. It's not without reason that Kerala got a number of awards. It's because there must be a mindset, a culture of cleanliness, and we can see that when we go to God's own country. And then you will see that these are just 2 examples. We could speak about Maharashtra, we could speak about Gujarat, we could speak about Rajasthan. I think those were the main states that come to my mind when I recall the award winners. Andhra got some award. These are the states where tourism also has flourished because the mindset has accepted Swachhata, and that mindset goes from the home to the office, to our environments, to our city, then to our workplaces, and then gradually if the state becomes clean, it attracts more and more tourists towards that place. Whether there are adequate public toilets, whether there's good quality of air and environment, whether the roads are kept clean, whether the tourist places are kept clean, whether they have the right facilities, the entire tourism ecosystem. I'm just trying to share that cleanliness very, very closely aligns to economic development, to job creation and employment. And I would urge all those who have not applied for this award as yet, about 137 applicants were received. I'm sure we have many, many more industrial parks or industrial areas across the country. This was your first year, and I'm really grateful to FICCI for having set up this award. I'm sure going forward you will get the private sector also, and the private sector SEZs, the private sector industrial areas. Your zone of consideration will certainly become larger, but this competition will help create that awareness. And I think this kind of an award always encourages those who have won it to retain their position, those who have not yet won it to aspire to be a victor. So I would urge you to try and expand the zone of consideration, and I would urge all of you. The award is not for the management of these industrial parks. The award is for all of us in industry, in business, who are using these industrial parks, who are running industry and businesses there. It's we who have to manage our area better. And therefore, I would think a national movement across the country, led by FICCI, on Swachhata in industrial workplaces, can have a significant impact on the overall cleanliness program. On our part, we have built about 12 crore toilets so that every home has its own toilet. I remember in the very first year when the Prime Minister announced that every school and college will have a separate toilet for girl children. All the private sector, large corporations, the PSUs, all had collectively worked towards making a toilet in every single school or college. But it's now 10 years, a decade since that program had been launched. I think it may be a good idea for all of us in the corporate world, and working closely if necessary with municipal authorities or government, to see if we can once again revisit, and all our PSUs may also possibly revisit all the facilities that were created to ensure the upkeep, to ensure the availability of running water, the cleanliness, so that it may not happen that these programs became a one-off affair. In fact, if industry can adopt such toilets in schools and colleges, I think that would be a great impactful CSR initiative. Just making sure that they are well maintained so that children, and I don't think anybody in this room would disagree that the children are our future. And what we teach them, what they receive at an early age, is going to define the India growth story. So maybe some food for thought for you, because really you've picked upon something that's very, very close to the Honorable Prime Minister's heart and to all of us, and I'm sure is equally close to every single person in this room today. Compliments to FICCI on this. FICCI could also possibly stand for fostering innovation, collaboration, competitiveness in industry. And that brings me to the second point which I wanted to highlight today. I've just come in from a little bit of a discussion with the principal advisor to the Prime Minister on innovation, on science and technology, the principal scientific advisor. And we were discussing the Anusandhan, NRF, the Anusandhan National Research Foundation, that the Honorable Prime Minister has announced. It's a 1 lakh crore rupee, about $12 billion support that government will be giving to encourage partnerships or collaboration between industry, academia, and government to help foster the spirit of inquiry, to help create the ecosystem for innovation, R&D in the country, and encourage our institutions of higher learning and our industry, both to partner and come up with newer solutions, newer ways to make India really an important part of the international innovation ecosystem. And I was sharing with Dr. Ajay Sood that when you are giving $12 billion, don't equate it with the amount of money that maybe a company in Europe or a company in America or the US would be investing in innovation. Because the cost of innovation, the cost of trying out trials, the cost of research in India is significantly lower than the cost in these developed countries. So if Switzerland with a $103,000 per capita income, or the US with a $80,000 per capita income, invests in developing a new drug, or invests in a new innovation, let's say on battery, their cost is at least going to be 10 times the cost that we will incur in India. So effectively, when the government is putting up for your use and for you all to quickly take $12 billion of government funding, it equates to nearly $120 or $150 billion worth of research that is happening in the developed world. And I would like you all to deliberate, and if there is any flaw in my argument, please do correct me. But I genuinely thought it over, and I believe that with this pool of capital, and if we can quickly use it, I assure you the government will not be found wanting to put up additional funding on the table. But we have to get the industry and get the people of India, the youngsters, tuned to looking at new innovation and new ideas and developing them, experimenting with them, willing to fail should it happen, but continue and persevere to create an innovation ecosystem in the country. And therefore, I would urge all of you, ladies and gentlemen, the track record in the past, whenever government has promoted innovation or even offered to fund innovation in a big way, has not yet evinced the kind of interest that we would like to see from all of you. If there are anything that you want us to simplify, any processes, the speed of taking decisions, any issues with the research that you are doing, with the institutions, whether they are coming forward or not coming forward, we are open to your suggestions. Maybe FICCI could put together a small team of companies or company representatives who are involved with innovation and see how we can work together to even make the guidelines or to make the processes outcome-oriented with speed of action and truly help India develop the spirit of inquiry or the ecosystem required for R&D across the length and breadth of the country. I think we should also look up some high-quality private sector institutions to become a part of this industry, academia, government partnership. And therefore, you could foster the spirit of innovation and help us create collaboration with the industry so that India can have the competitive edge when we are meeting the demands of 1.4 billion people and when we are meeting our hopefully our next thrust on exports in the years to come. Finally, I just want to request, I'm sorry, Dr. Anish, you may think I've only come here to ask you, but I think we'll have to work together, all of us. If we really want to see Viksit Bharat 2047, it'll have to be a collaborative effort. We'll have to work together. When we work in isolation, we will work with a limited experience and knowledge at our command. also with our own experiences in government of the past, which may not necessarily be conducive to the future and the way the world is working today. And therefore, I would like to urge industry to play a more proactive role on helping us in our ease of doing business agenda, in our agenda to reduce compliance burdens, in our agenda to decriminalize any laws which are detrimental to your work, which are kind of an impediment or which make you uncomfortable, particularly when the misdemeanor is very small. On these areas of compliance burden and decriminalization, which can lead to ease of doing business, I do seek your support, your active participation. What more we can do transparently? I mean, I'll give you a simple example. In our Commerce and Industry Ministry and the associated offices along with that, we are making a very serious effort that nobody ever has to come to our particular designated hour or half an hour, depending on the requirement, either every day or twice a week, again, depending on the amount of interface that people have, where you can just log on and sort out your issues across a video conference. If it's something that you do not wish to discuss with others, though normally it's nobody else is there, it's a queuing system. So we allow one person into the VC. So whatever you discuss is very private and confidential. But should you need a separate meeting, for which very often you would fly down from all over the country and come to Delhi and, as they say, jute ghisna padta tha. We want to get rid of all of that, wherever you are. From your mobile phone, you can just click the link, connect on video conference to us, and advantage is all of that gets recorded. So it comes into our dashboard. It avoids any risk of any irregular activities. It helps us at the higher level to know what are the kind of issues. Otherwise, you come, meet somebody and go away. I would never know what kind of issues are bothering people. But with my dashboard now, I can see exactly what generally is troubling people and see what we can do to resolve that with maybe a root cause analysis and solving the issue for everybody instead of the individual who raised the issue. And that way, if it doesn't get resolved in a time-bound manner, it even escalates to a joint secretary or to the secretary, or beyond that if it's very serious, even to me. But the idea is transparency, I believe, will make it easier to do business. Easier for all of you to be assured that you will get a non-discriminatory and rightful hearing and rightful addressing of your issues. So such type of ideas, I hope, also come from industry. This can only work if you cooperate, if you use these facilities, if you actually, wherever you have an issue with the Commerce and Industry Ministry, at least get onto the link. Maybe you may find one day the link doesn't work, then write into me. So I know that whether my processes, which I'm assuming are helping industry, are actually working well for you or not. So you will have to be the feedback mechanism to help us do our job better. Similarly, quality is another issue on which we have been putting in quality control orders. There are specifications through BIS, through FSSAI, the telecom sector, steel sector. Many of these may have gotten outdated. While it's reported to me that about 90% plus of all our standards, quality standards, align with generally accepted global standards. There's nothing like an international standard. Very often I get requests from many companies and countries that India should follow international standard. But to date, I have not been able to figure out, and no counterpart of mine has been able to show me what is an international standard. There is no body in the world which says this mic system should have these 4 important elements. Europe has decided its own, America has decided its own. Everybody in the world have prepared their own standards. We in India have prepared our standards, but we generally look at international standards to align and learn from best practices. But again, that's an area I would urge all of you. Maybe again, FICCI could take up this challenge. We have about 30 or 40,000 technical committees which decide these standards. You are a federation who I believe has hundreds and thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands of smaller chambers or members across the country. Can we not ensure that in every technical committee there is a representative from industry who will help make these standards contemporary? That way, quality standards can be more practical, useful for all of you, and will help India evolve as a country recognized across the globe as a quality producer of goods and country which provides services of high quality. I think that is going to define our Viksit Bharat growth story, unless and until the world has the confidence that India can be not only a trusted partner, where I believe we've done admirably well, but is also a quality producer of goods and services. I think this will be a potent combination which can impact our journey towards Viksit Bharat 2047. And I'm sure each one of you in this room will help us achieve these lofty targets. We are looking at a country where every child born in India has a quality of life that really is exceptionally high, good, satisfying. And we in this room are going to be the makers of the destiny of India. I'm sure each one of you will participate wholeheartedly, and each one of you will contribute towards Viksit Bharat 2047. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words and for illuminating the path ahead for India's commerce and industry. Your guidance is truly invaluable in shaping a sustainable and a thriving economy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, may I invite Mr. Harsha V. Agarwal, President-elect FICCI and Vice Chairman, Managing Director, Imami Limited, to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I extend a heartfelt gratitude to Honorable Minister Shri Piyush Goyal ji for sharing his time, vision, and insights with us today. Let me start with assuring Shri Piyush Goyal ji that FICCI will sincerely work towards taking forward the dream of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji of Swachh Bharat. Also, I am happy to say that FICCI has been part of and driving the Indian Sanitation Coalition Award. This year, next week, the 8th edition will be taking place. Basis your interaction in our last NECM, we have also shared our suggestions on Jan Viswas Bill and PESO, and nearly suggestions on more than 100 provisions has been shared. But we will continue to work on these areas of ease of doing business, and also in the area of innovation as suggested by you. Piyush Goyal ji, our focus this year has been on 4 priorities, and Make in India is one of them. We will continue to have this focus next year as well, and we are committed to collaborating with the government to enhance India's competitiveness and position as a global manufacturing leader. Once again, thank you for your valuable time and agreeing to be part of this important session at FICCI's 97th Annual General Meeting. Thank you, everyone. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. To honor the legacy of leadership that has brought FICCI to where it stands today, we would like to invite all the past presidents of FICCI to join us on stage for a group photograph with our esteemed guest, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. And ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our past presidents to the stage as we capture this historic moment. Let us give them a warm round of applause for their leadership and vision. And once again, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to Shri Piyush Goyal ji for his inspiring address and for felicitating our distinguished awardees today. We are grateful for your guidance, sir, and the support in our journey towards a prosperous and sustainable India. Ladies and gentlemen, let's once again put our hands together to thank the Honorable Minister, sir. And we would request all our guests to kindly remain seated as we shall soon start our next session, which is on the theme of Make in India.